7 of the Adi Lakshmi painting. Adi Lakshmi is one of the 8 forms of Lakshmi avatars that are known for all the positive propensities of life. Adi being first, she is the first Lakshmi. We are nearing the finish line. Yay! Yes, let's quickly go over what we have done so far. We have journeyed 10 hours plus, and depends on how much time you took, but I would say yes, and it could be closer to what I have done, or maybe a little longer. That is also okay, that you have started with the wash of the canvas and did the planning and execution along with me, and then once it was executed on the canvas, we moved on to do the layer 2, which was just blocking and filling, and then layer 3 was building into dark versus light. Layer 4, lot of depth. Layer 5 is just taking to that another level of nuances. And I did mention that we are going to close the class with layer 5, but it doesn't mean that that is the stop point. You are welcome to go ahead and explore more depth and more realistic approaches if you want. Yes. This is just a session for you to feel comfortable that you could just start from scratch and do something creative, taking multiple references, and build something that is never seen before, build something that is out of the box, yeah, from a very common well-known idea. So that's the spark that I want to leave behind when we are finishing this. Yes. So we have been working on layer 5 in the last couple of classes, and we did the face and the hands and such, and then we worked on the jewelry. Uh, so what is left over is the clothing and um, the flowers as well. And also we need to work a little bit on the background, bringing her to the front. So that's going to be a bit of a challenge, but we will get there as well. Brushes, pretty much the same. You have seen me only using, most of the time I'm using the zero micro brushes or triple zero brushes, or the 0 and 1 brushes. Yeah, I've never been to number 2 also, brush number 2 also. I've been using only that. So I will continue using the same thing, unless I mention for some reason another brush. Yeah, most of the time it will be the same. The colors are going to be very much the same that we have been using in the main picture. So we're going to get started with the shirt, and that was olive green, isn't it? So I want to have olive green ready, and also a little bit of primary yellow ready. I don't see the need of white though, but I will just keep it ready just in case, for any highlights or something. I'll keep it ready, and then I'll focus on getting the other important colors ready. Yeah. Black and burnt umber always ready in my palette. Yeah, they are there. They're very much there. Because you never know when we start, giving the dark impressions. I've found primary yellow. Just going to keep it ready. And yeah, I'm looking for olive green. So I'm going to go ahead and take a thin brush. Brush number 1 will do. Just looking for a softer brush. Brush number 1, soft. Yes, this is good. This is good. Yes. Soft and clean brush. It definitely helps. I'm taking a little bit of olive green, mixing with the primary yellow to have a nice shade here. And I'm going to add a little bit of oil to make it even fluid. It is a translucent color, both are. I'm getting a nice color tonality, but I still need a bit of oil to make it fluid, make it just go around the way we did it for the other places. But the test is, yes, if I make it stand like this, it shouldn't start dripping. It drips, but it's so slow. I can manipulate it, and that's exactly what we need now. So let's go over one last time, a good finish. Let's give the good finish. And remember last time, because we did not know the jewelry layer 4, we have used sections differently. So anything that I want to hide now and go over nicely and finish nicely. So when I do this, I also see that the previous layer is just still visible, transparent, going over, pushing the oil and making it go around nicely. And I want to create that effect of the dress being silky, yeah? So that is going to come when I add a tiny bit of white to lighten things up in some places, which I'll show you in a short while once we are done filling things in, and then we get started with the shades. Okay. There is another color that's flowing through here, and I want to avoid that or make it available also here. Another color, what is that? Okay, maybe the gold. Did I take a little bit of that? Maybe I had. No, I did not, but still there is another color. I want to wipe that off carefully. Yes, I'm taking an earbud to just wipe it off because I want it dark there, but not too much. It's a little too much there. Just taking it off and wiping off my brush as well. Let's take that yellowy green one more time to push this through. Now it isn't looking that bad, huh? Okay, so we've got it. We've covered this nicely. Cover the clothing nicely. Yes. And it looks brighter because of the yellow. So the white doesn't help much with the brightness there. So I'm just adding the yellow for the shine as much as possible. I've done that on the sides. I'll use the yellow around the neck area again. The center of that, the body, chest area, where there could be light falling directly. And then leave the rest the way it is. Okay, so the color is looking nice. And I want to add a taint of white. So just the tip of the brush, I'm taking the white and adding it to add to the glow. Just around the tip very thin. That's it. Doing the same thing on the other side as well. Very thin strokes of white. I don't want it to turn and show white, so I'm just letting it blend in. Yeah. So the white comes and brings it to the front. Yeah. So this is bringing everything to the front. So bringing her to the front. We'll push the dial to the back in a short while when we work on the background. So that was bringing her to the front. The hips, I'll bring the tummy a little bit to the front. So I'm just adding that white in that, belly area slightly. That white, the silky white, should also create some refined creases across. The clothing. So I'm just only the tip of my brush. So there's nothing really happening. If you see, what are you doing? There's nothing really happening. That is the thing, it's all these subtle nuances. Subtle nuances. You'll be surprised, when maybe you're not able to see that, transpire here in the camera, but when you do it yourself, you say, there's something else happening. And actually, when you finish it and when you come out of it, that's the only thing. We see a lot of things that we have done only when we get slightly away from the canvas, especially when it comes to the nuances. It feels like, oh, every single stroke, is it important? Can I just not do it? Then I know the idea was never to do the layer 4 then, isn't it? Doesn't make sense because layer 5 really is all about these nuances, isn't it? So do that. And the bone structure of that shoulder, these are tiny things. You just create a bit of interest here, so it gives an effect that there is the shoulder blade shading there. We gave the sides the shade, the highlight. We have left this, push this to the back by, creating this interest. And I'm just going to add a tiny bit of white here as well. I don't want it to turn totally white, so I'm just leaving it like that. That was the thing, yeah. Yes, I'm just going to leave it like that. So that's about the green. I think that is giving enough in terms of the shade. Just giving it a very slight shape for the hip and not too much, leaving it there. So I guess that's a good color tonality to leave. And now let's focus on the areas of the silk or the cloth that is close to her jewelry. Yeah. So I am going to add to this olive green. What I'm going to add is a bit of burnt umber. And that will be the darkest of the olive green. Let me show this to you. So it is turning brown here. Going to take olive green a little more. Look at this. This is the dark olive green and it is watery or oily rather. Ready to blend in. It will just blend in anywhere. I want this. And I'll go around in those places where we have done the jewelry. I'm going to go around, creating that impression with a zero brush. Yes. Very carefully going in those places. In my case, I know that my the white circles that I have done, all these interesting shapes that we have done for the jewelry, it's all wet. So I'm aware of it. I'm just gonna create this and also blend this in, because in some places I wanted to show the curve, some places I just wanted to look natural, so I'm just blending it in nicely, leaving it there nicely. And I want to use this also, the darker color, to show the shadow of her hand here. Nice. And right here. Remember the belt. I think we have nearly covered this section here. Darker shades showing a little bit on the shoulder blades. How does she look? Cool. I think we have managed that. Let's do the same thing for her skirt as well. That was vermilion, and we will play around with vermilion the same way. I have brush number 1, and I'm just trying to see if I could use the same brush. If I have, this is a good brush and I want to use this. Olive green is a risky color. Let's see if I have managed to take it away, wipe it off. Oil and vermilion, and hold it vertically. Check it should not be running off your palette. So let's go fill things in one more time nicely, and I think I will have to move this around a little bit for you to see better. Good. Cool. I think you can see her better now. Yeah. So now we are working on her skirt, filling in ever so lightly in all these sections. It's just oil that I'm pushing rather than painting, because it's just going to highlight what is already here. I'm pushing the color, whatever I have in the tip of my brush. So nice. Okay. So the darker shades, I am just going to take a bit of burnt umber in the tip of my brush, and I want to create those darker shades to just go around like this, like the skirts, frills or something, going on all those directions, blending them in nicely. We have the shape of the thigh or the leg that is there, that we have darkened. And now, yes, let's use some. I want to use the yellow, the primary yellow, to just highlight a little bit, because I don't want to use white all the time. Remember, I said that it easily turns pink and spoils the game, so I just don't want to rely on that all the time. I'm using this permanent yellow that I have to push a little bit here and give the shade in those sections. Okay, so I am looking for a zero brush again to do a very thin white, remember, just like the way we did the highlight of this, putting that white line and bringing in that image to the front ever so lightly, because I don't want it to look like totally white. I don't want it to look like totally white, so I'm just trying to add the color again to keep it in the lighter zone. It'll have more effect when we have done the background also. So take it in steps. Just gonna blend this nicely so it doesn't show too much. I guess that is it for this. Okay, and a little more of yellow is needed to highlight a bit here on the orange zone. I'm just darkening this up a little bit to create a shadow here caused by the hand. Yes, that is it for the clothing that she is wearing, the skirt that she is wearing. Super. So let's leave it here and let's move on to the. I need to do one thing. There must be a bit of shadow here. I've missed. Okay, I think we have managed that, and right now the focus is going to shift to the lotus flowers. Lotus flowers, we know the color very well, it's crimson, and I'm going to add, I have a zero brush, crimson is here, let's add oil. Check if it is flowing. I'm adding a little more. No. I'm ready to work on that now. I'm just checking how things are, if it is flowing or such. I guess this is cool. It's really cool. It's really good. And I'm going to, I don't know if I want to paint with this fully. Let me see. I want this color to flow through, but not fully. So let me just show you what I'm going to do here. So I'm taking this and I want to, so this is darkening on the top here, I can see. But the moment it comes to the bottom, what I'm going to do is to use a bit of my tissue paper to bring this down, sort of wiping and pulling the color down. See, you see? So whatever is there on the top is coming down, but it's being wiped off like this. The excess oil can be either wiped off, pushed down using a earbud, using this, or even with the brush you can wipe off, but you need to be very careful because the brush might hold a lot of color. So I'll do it like this way. I'm going to do this here on the tip of the brush, whatever color is there. I'm going to throw it in here on the top. Yeah. So the brush is actually empty now. It doesn't have color. So it needs the help of what is there on the top to be pulled. I can directly use oil instead of color, but I'll be very careful. This is the last thing that you will have to do, I'd say, because if you are not sure about this, oil could start oozing down. So if you are not comfortable doing this, go on with the method that I taught you, with the tissue paper or using the earbud or such. Yeah, do that very careful because here there is a lot of adjustments that you have to do. The coins here, I wanted to show, I wanted to show the light coming due to the gold. So I'm just being very careful with this. No more colors. Whatever I have taken is done. I'm not going to take some more color from the palette. I'm just going to go around doing this. And here on the, so now this was the lighter colors, isn't it? So these were the lighter shades. And now I want to do the cross shading throwing in light. So I'm just adding white here, throwing in the light, cross shading. Again, not a lot. I am just using whatever is there in the tip of my brush. I take a tiny bit of titanium white on the tip of my brush and I just go over, cross shading. Yes. So that's the lighter tonalities that we are creating here. Play very carefully. If you're not sure with the brush, like I said, tissues also help in this to smoothen out, to create the effect of the flower there. Okay, as I'm moving along, I think I've accidentally pulled a bit of the yellow ochre, so I'm just taking crimson to adjust, white to readjust and such, yeah. You don't want that the partitioning lines to show so clearly, so you just want to blend them in as smoothly as you can. And there's enough oil in my canvas. There's enough oil in my canvas already, so I'm not going to take too much. You see that? So the light glow is there. We have created that. I want to enter the darker shades, but before I do that, there's a bit of work to be done on the rest of the petals as well before I get to the darkest of the tones. It does look like filling in, but it's a lot of oil. So I'm just pushing the color. Tip of my brush has the color. The rest, no, nothing. The petals that are in the bottom, just be careful with that as well. Do the same thing, pull the color around, whatever is remaining. Now for the darker colors, I'm taking a bit of black and oil ready here. The dark shades, I'm throwing them in. Ever so lightly, I'm throwing them in also on those petals behind. Okay, so now let's start using this brush effectively to blend those colors. That means we need a little more of this um, crimson to go along with the black in those spaces. These darker tonalities will bring her to the front. When we add a tiny bit of white in the middle, we'll do that in a short while. Just checking if I've done everywhere. I think I'm convinced with the look of it. I need the help of the zero brushes to work on. So I'm going to take titanium white ever so lightly and start playing again around this texture, very thin, bringing her shape to the front, and that works now because we have the darkening that is done right behind. Yeah, I think you can see her coming out, and it's so thin, so it's going to be blended very lightly to the skirt. We did that before, but we're doing it again because right now we finished the flower as well. Yeah, so you see that she is, coming up ever so lightly there. And now we do the technique of bringing these petals to the front. So ever so lightly add that strip of white. Give a tiny bit of, white shading to that really, really, a small, tiny stroke that we are going to give to bring the petals to the front because, the petals are now in the front versus where she is, isn't it? So let's bring the petals to the front here. Tiny nuances, but they do matter. That's exactly what we are doing. We're coming to the close of this particular lotus flower here, but there is quite a bit that we need to do with the background as well. Yeah, so before we get to that, let's do this tiny strokes. So it's all this micro brush that I'm using to just give a tiny sliver of idea where the petals are. Yeah, I guess that is helping now, bringing in those petals to the front here. Let's do that for the petals here to show up nicely. It's a very tiny stroke, but it really matters here for the nuance. Yes. I think that is beginning to look nice, and it's not too much. If you want to blend it, you can. If you don't want to blend it, leave it like that. That's also a pattern that you could follow. I'm giving the final, sliver of white to the, but it looks titanium white, so I want to blend it also. I'll do that right away. So I have the other brush, that is this large brush, not a large brush, zero brush, and I'm just using that to blend things in. If it is looking totally odd, I just want it to blend in lightly. So blend it in here, blend it in here. So it doesn't look totally white. Here that it needs that stroke. That works, that works. So the sliver of white has brought things to the front a little bit, and we'll do the same thing for those two little flowers also. This is hopefully slightly easy. Let's do this. We have oil, crimson. Let's play around to the very tiny shading, because right now I think we have the flowers also, shooting up and showing right nicely. Okay, cool. I want to use my micro brush to go around with the lighter shade. Now it should be easier to blend. Let's do the blending. I think I need another zero brush. Going for it. Going to blend this nicely. I think I have darker shades here, so I'm not doing it. It's up to you. If you want to darken things, you can. For me, it is to be lightened. It feels like, at least in some of the places. So I'm just lightening it. I think this is looking cool. I need that green, olive green, remember that we used to go for the center place that we used here to do the nice stem in her hands as a finish. Now there is one more thing to do to bring things to the front. Remember, we used those light white strokes here for the lotus flower, and also for her thighs and such, and we'll have to do something like that to bring certain aspects of her to the front, and also push certain things to the back. And certain things that we could do here is to give a very tiny white highlight around that section of her hair. You don't want it to show because it's going to be, it shouldn't look like a contour. End of the day, you want that thin white line to have accentuated. I'm just giving a white stroke here to have accentuated her hair structure. Just be careful where you're giving, why you're giving, micro brush. So that was for the hair that because the hair is a darker color, so I chose to give the white on the sides to ever so lightly, bring things. To the contrary, now I need a slightly darker shade. I'm just going to take a bit of black, but to the black, I'll add a lot of oil to lighten it up, really lighten it up, because I want to use this to go around the contours of her shoulder line where we lightened. So I'm just going to darken it a bit. So this black is going to just dampen and darken things a bit here. And I don't want it to show totally blacky also. So I'm going to add titanium white a little bit so the color dampens up, but titanium white and pink, because ultimately that's the color that we have here. So there is some lightening or darkening here, and that will push her to the front, and I'm just wiping off excess. Let's do this white one more time here. Yes, the same way on the other side, ever so lightly darkening it up. So I'm just be cautious, because this black, you don't want it to be black. You don't want it to be black. It has to be the pink. It has to be the pink that we have, or the lighter pink that we have used in the background. But you're just using it to dampen a little bit of that background, not too much, dampening it. So it helps to enhance and bring her shoulder line to the front. That is one thing, yeah. And then going back to giving the shoulder line one more touch. These are very, very tiny nuances. It wouldn't matter if you left it and say, okay, I finish. But, these tiny things make that change, bring something to the front. And I want to bring this finger to the front, that finger goes back. So all these things. So whatever is in the front, the thumb is in the front. These fingers are slightly in the front, so I'm just bringing them in. This thumb is in the front, highlighting ever so lightly, bringing this to the front. Can you see that? And now blending it in. If you want, I have the skin color with me ready, whatever we used from the previous lessons. But I think we would not need it, because we are just using a lot of oil here, and we are bringing things to the front. Bringing this to the front. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna do one more line here, a very thin stroke here to push this to the front. And again, using the ever so light thing. Right now, I don't want to do the same thing again on all the sections. We have enough of that. Um, yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess we could call this complete. Um, I usually tend to look at things, um, a couple of days even after completion and check if there is something that I could do to improve. Most of the time, I would have completed it in this way and say, okay, that's the one, that's it, and such. Yeah, I think this looks cool. If I really want to make some adjustments, I think the backdrop that we adjusted, I want to do a slight last color tonality fixing here. Mm, I have done this here also, that has slight bit of black. It should look like a shadow, of the image itself. So I'm just adding that thin bit of black here around. Really a trace of the color. You cannot see too much of it anywhere. Mm. Okay, there's some more to be done on the petals as well. So I'm just doing the last bit of adjustments here, using that, oily black trace to go around those petals. And I'm just going to push the colors around so it doesn't look too bad. It should just be merging and disappearing into that color so you cannot see a thing. It's mostly oil and a bit of black that I have used, so you cannot see a thing here. And I've blended it enough. I'll take a bit of oil to blend it even more, to push it further in the places where it might show up as a stroke. And now go for the white and give that white stroke on the petals as well there. Mm-hmm. nearly there, finishing this. So I hope you have enjoyed creating this along with me and you have learned something interesting around this. I would definitely love to see what you are doing, what you have done, and where you are. Um, and please do, if you have really loved it, please do make a mention of um, this tutorial when you share it with your friends and family. And also if you're selling it, please do mention that you have learned um, you know from this. It could be that you have taken 20% of my ideas and used your own. Then yeah, then just mention that you have taken a few inspirations from me. I'd be really glad that I've been helpful in your art journey in some way. um, I guess that is it right now. I think I should also um, close this. I'm just looking for adding a little bit of that pink, crimson in those sections, and making sure that they are in sync with um, or in tandem with that original color that we created. So I'm just using another brush to fine tune. Yeah, just pulling this and blending this in totally so it doesn't look totally odd. I'm just using a blunt brush to blend because it's oil that's being blended. There's nothing there. Um, could be a blunt brush. It could be a nearly there, nearly there, nearly there. Yes, I guess that is it. Let's see how she looks overall. Pushing her to the back. So that's exactly how she is looking. Um, there's one more thing I do, and that is putting my name. And I want to show you where I put my name. That I have done this signing off here, and I start with my letter G here, and you will see when it is done, you will see that in the final cut. Few things to share with you before I leave you is that the same thumb impression that you see here, I would also do another thumb impression right behind her face when I'm handing over this painting to anyone, either for sale or gifting or any purpose for that matter. I would do that thumb impression. And when I'm selling or when it is moving away, the product code and address and company name, such everything goes behind, written in paint, oil paint. So it's the same way that I sign off. That's all some things that I take care of when I do this work. So this is the kind of professional artwork that I prefer to hand over to my customers, and also to my people that love this kind of paintings. I hope you have learned and found this useful. Do remember to share your thoughts and your comments, your feedback, and also write to me if you need any support with respect to your painting. We'll have Teams or Zoom call to have that fulfilled. Also, remember that every time I've been mentioning that it's one of the 8 forms of Lakshmis, which means there are also videos, tutorials of other 7 Lakshmis that are coming up that have been a part of this journey. So you will find them also in my tutorial series. If you like this and you want to create something similar, you will get to see that and learn that also in other tutorials. Let me know if you're doing a bulk purchase or something that we could talk about a possible discount or so. Also, thank you. Thank you so much for being a part of this journey. And yes, as always, stay blessed, stay happy, stay healthy, stay motivated. We have now created Adi Lakshmi, her blessings, and all this prosperity, abundance is just going to flow through to you and to all that you are touching the lights of. God bless you.